Well, I'm Wayne Hatch. I teach on the Price campus. I teach biology down there. So my topic is titled Teaching with Intention. So now what? We've heard some great talks today with some great information, but we've got more to come still. But the question is, what do we do with all of this? So we can't implement everything, and what we do may not actually work out as well as we hope. So it's time to reflect. If anything from today will be useful, we need to reflect. If you want to be the best teacher that you can be, reflect. If you want to improve on successes and learn from mistakes, reflect. Reflection must be a part of our work. Reflection is one of the most important things that we can do as teachers. Reflective practices are a compass of sorts to guide us as to what we do in our classroom. It enables us to stop, look, and discover where we are and where we decide where we want to go. It's been shown that people who reflect on their work were more helpful towards others, less exhausted, less cynical, more confident, and more engaged the next day. It's also been linked to long-term mental health benefits. For teachers, it helps us move from just experiencing a lesson to understanding what happened and why. When reflecting with purpose, we can start to challenge the underlying principles and beliefs that define the way we work. We can get to and explore the foundation of what we're trying to do. The benefits to teachers specifically are more professional development, helping us remain relevant and innovative. It can strengthen the student-teacher relationship. It can help us increase teacher resilience, help us develop reflective learners, and also lead to student-centered learning. A personal story I had about 10 years ago. I was looking out this very window in my office and wondering, what do my freshman biology students need? I knew they needed an authentic research experience, but what would that really look like? So it ultimately then led me to a larger community. And 10 years later, many of my freshman biology students have participated in this worldwide Tiny Earth Network research group where we find antibiotic-producing microbes from soil. And I may have easily dismissed this opportunity had I not spent that time reflecting. Reflection can vary, but some general patterns include these. Having a teaching experience, reflecting on how that helped our student learning, considering new ways to improve our student learning, trying these ideas, and then repeat. Reflection can be done at various levels. Pre-reflection is actually no reflection at all, just survival. But surface reflection is when we're trying to think about our goals. Pedagogical is looking at new methods and theory, and critical reflection is really getting down to the whys of why we teach. So some of my suggestions on how to reflect is first to get a reflection journal. It may be a physical or electronic notebook or an audio recorder, something that you can use to record your thoughts with. Then pick a dedicated time to reflect, whether that's daily, monthly, weekly. Some other suggestions are that you may video your teaching, seek peer reviews. ETE is great for that if you haven't taken advantage of that. Engage with your colleagues like this conference or other settings, or seek student feedback such as exit surveys or surveys at the end of periods or lessons. Reflection should not be limited to documents written for annual reviews, such as with your department chair or for tenure and promotion. Reflection only in this framework can actually be counterproductive and prevent meaningful reflections due to perceptions of judgment. Thinking that reflection is just used to fix problems is also counterproductive. There's always room for improvement. Classroom students and technology are ever changing. From the early classrooms to pod classrooms to our empty COVID classrooms to Zoom and online classrooms. You may want to use some online tools. So AI tools such as Mirror and AI Coach. Mirror allows you to video your reflections and then you get some AI feedback. Or you can use online surveys, and there's lots of question banks that hit at those different reflection levels. So reflection is awesome and very helpful, but I can't ignore the downsides. When you have a bad experience teaching, including student evals, it can lead to rumination or worrying about that experience. This can lead to distress, exhaustion, disengagement, and even sleep disorders. To overcome rumination, we need to get out of the default mode of self-reflection, which is the first person, egocentric perspective, and use distancing techniques to help us break from that narrow view. That can help us reconstrue those negative experiences without becoming overwhelmed by negative emotions associated with them. So some helps with this are to practice distancing techniques, such as using the observer perspective by using your own name or the pronoun you when reflecting. Try looking at the bigger picture, or imagine that experience as if you're 10 years down the road and looking back on that experience. So finally, there's no one perfect way to self-reflect, but some 3 key recommendations are to carve out time for reflection, constantly problem solve, and question the status quo. Why do we do what we do? So moving forward, how will you improve your teaching day by day, week by week, year by year through reflection?